Many believe one particular account, recorded in the UK UFO files, points to the willful destruction of the best evidence ever produced of a UFO over Britain.
The best way to kill the story is to make sure no one has the picture.
According to the UFO files, in August 1990, two hikers were walking in the Scottish Highlands, close to Calvine, north of Pitlochry. Suddenly, they saw something incredible. It was a chance for the picture of a lifetime. The hikers immediately contacted journalists from the Scottish Daily Record newspaper. After viewing their photos, the journalists chose to share both pictures and negatives with the Ministry of Defence. The UFO desk files say that the images were then analysed by the best team in the business.
The Defence Intelligence Staff sent these images to JARIC, that's the Joint Air Reconnaissance and Intelligence Centre. Now, this is the UK's military centre of expertise when it comes to imagery analysis.
They identified a small jet in the background, but the large diamond-shaped craft in the foreground defied classification.
These intelligence personnel come to the conclusion that these photographs are real, it's a solid craft, and no one has the faintest idea what it is.
At the time, Nick Pope was a junior member of the UFO team. He remembers the response of the MOD's top UFO expert.
He started gesticulating, and he said, well, we know it's not the Americans, and he pointed his finger that way, and he flipped it the other way, and he said, it's not the Russians, and he said, and that only leaves, and he did that. And my boss looked at his finger and looked up at the ceiling, and we all just looked at each other, and nothing further was said. I mean, there were certainly people in the MOD who were prepared to think the unthinkable and say, yeah, maybe, just maybe, it could be extraterrestrial.
Behind Nick's UFO project desk, the Calvine picture had pride of place.
People would come into our section, they would see this thing and say, what the heck is that? And we'd tell the story. It's the best UFO photo we ever received.
Then, suddenly, things changed. According to Nick Pope, an internal cover-up began.
One day, my head of division came in and he removed it. I don't know whether it was sent somewhere else for safekeeping or someone else on his behalf put it through the shredder, but whatever happened, when the MOD opened its UFO files, questions were asked about that picture, and the answer was, well, we don't know, it's gone.
Outside evidence of the photograph's existence had also disappeared. The Daily Record never published the pictures, and now their journalists claim no knowledge of the story.
Now, to me, if you've been given a photograph like that, what a fantastic scoop. I just thought, why was it that the Scottish Daily Record didn't publish these photographs? And I spoke to all the chief reporters who were around at that time. They knew all the people who were there back to 1990. None of them could remember the story at all.
I can only assume intelligence specialists in the Ministry of Defence convinced the paper not to run this, maybe through use of a D-notice, but maybe through some other means, and for whatever reason, the paper complied with this request and the story was dropped.
Without the journalists, the hikers could not be traced. and they have never come forward. All that now survives in the UFO Desk's Calvine image file are a couple of crude line drawings. The original photograph has disappeared without trace, and many believe this points to a cover-up.
Well, if it was an extraterrestrial craft, and it's a big story for the governments, not only of the UK, but any government, to openly put their hand up and admit that we are dealing with a recognisable alien technology presence here surrounding planet Earth.
In this sort of situation, it really is the case that a picture paints 1,000 words. The best way to kill the story is to make sure no one has the picture.